Hello everyone, welcome back to a new post today, and I hope you all are doing wonderfully well. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about the African Union today, and in his address to the G20 ministers, he asked them to accord the full membership to the African Union in the G20 group of nations. We all know that India is holding the presidency of G20, and we are having the G20 summit in India under the presidency of India in September this year. So Prime Minister spoke of according the full membership to African Union countries in G20 membership. We already know that G20 is a grouping of 19 countries plus the United Nations, plus the European Union, and so now proposing the membership of African Union really means a lot. India and Africa have very age-old ties, and they have very strong relations and also trade ties. Especially a lot of new emerging interests have been coming to the fore with regard to India and Africa relations. Let's have a brief review of what has been said, what is the African Union, and what is the significance of India-Africa relations. So the Prime Minister has written to the G20 counterparts calling for African Union for a full membership, and the African Union is considered as the voice of the African countries. Let me tell you that India is being touted as the voice of the global South, which is a grouping, which is a name for a grouping of the developing and the underdeveloped countries. So global South is usually used as a term to understand regarding the developing and the underdeveloped countries, and India is taken to be the voice. So recently Government of India also hosted the Global South Summit as well. African Union now is considered as a top grouping representing the voice of Africa. It has been working towards ensuring progress and economic growth of the African nations, and it was officially launched in 2002 and is a successor of the Organization of African Unity. It is headquartered at Addis Ababa. Now India and Africa share very deep relations, historical and cultural, making them natural partners. And who can forget that it was Gandhiji who returned from Africa and then started to participate in the national movement in India, which led to the independence of India from the British rule. Now India is hosting, as we know, the G20 summit in the capacity of the current chair, and Prime Minister has therefore taken a bold step, as India is the voice of the global South and therefore calling at the international stage to enhance African Union's voice as well, and also in shaping the future of our shared world, which is the global South. Now, as a part of India's G20 presidency, India has been particularly focusing on incorporating the priorities of not only Africa but also the countries of the global South as well, as India, as I told you, represents the voice of the underdeveloped and the developing nations. Now in January, India hosted something called as the Voice of the Global South Summit, with the aim to highlight the problems and also the challenges facing the developing countries as well. G20 is a group or is an intergovernmental forum, and it is the world's most developed and developing economies are a part of the G20. The members now represent 85% of the global GDP and over 75% of the global trade and 2/3 of the world's population. So let's have a quick review of the countries of the G20. So it comprises Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, US, UK and European Union. So from Africa we have only South Africa as a member of the G20, and therefore in Prime Minister Modi calling for a greater voice of the African Union countries in G20 as well. Now India and Africa countries were the past colonies of the European countries, and therefore we have a shared history as well. The slave trade and the indentured laborers led to the presence of a large India population in the continent, and therefore we have historical ties and also very close people-to-people contacts as well. Nelson Mandela is often dubbed as the Gandhi of South Africa and has strong Indian connections and striking similarities with India's father of the nation, that is Mahatma Gandhi. Now, the anti-apartheid icon shared a special icon with India as he chose the land of Gandhi, whom he called as his political guru, and also a role model as his first destination abroad in 1990 after spending 27 years behind the bars, and India was his first destination. Also, Nelson Mandela Mandela was awarded the Bharat Ratna in 1919, even before he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. If you look at the numbers between India and Africa, now India and Africa have a combined population of 2.3 billion. That's almost 1/4 of the population of the globe. India diaspora in Africa consists of nearly 3 million people. There is 50,000 strong ethnic African diaspora in India who descends from the Bantu people of the Southeast Africa. India and Africa bilateral trade is estimated to be around 70 billion. The trade has increased 20 times in just past 15 years. Nearly 4,500 Indian soldiers are in the ground in Africa in various UN peacekeeping operations and missions as well. And a fully formed Indian police unit is also present in Liberia. Now, India offers 900 scholarships to the African students each and every year. And India owned and operated the second largest employers in Nigeria. 3% of South Africa population consists of the people of Indian origin, and India is currently spending $7.5 billion on infrastructure projects in almost 40 countries of Africa. And even during the COVID period also, India extended a helping hand with regard to the COVID vaccines to Africa, and therefore we have a lot of close contacts with various African countries. And therefore this time Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about having a greater voice for the countries of Africa in the G20 summit, which is going to happen in 20, and also their membership to the intergovernmental organization. I hope this information was really helpful to you all to lay the foundation for the Indian-African ties and how to understand that how India is representing the voice of the global South in many international fora, and not forgetting its responsibility towards the global South as well. Everybody looks towards India as a leader. I hope this information was really helpful to you all, and if you did, please do like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you in my next post. Until then, very happy learning.